You did everything they told you. You spent north of $20,000 on the premium panels, the ones with the famous 25-year warranty, and the salesman swore they would outlast your roof. Here's the part nobody warned you about. That warranty is worth nothing today because the company that signed it is gone. SunPower Corporation, the biggest name in home solar, filed for bankruptcy in August of 2024, carrying about $2 billion in debt and roughly $32 million in cash. 1 month later, they shut off the app, the website, and the support line. The lights on your roof still work. The promise behind them does not. And before you start kicking yourself, stop. You weren't a sucker for buying quality. You bought good glass. The brands folded and the rules changed right out from under you, and that is not your fault. I wired homes for 35 years, and I got the calls when the cheap stuff died and when the expensive stuff got orphaned. So today, I'm naming the 12 solar panels that are effectively worthless in 2026, exactly why, and the handful actually built to last. Stick with me to the end because the panel I would put on my own roof this year is in this list too. So is the 30-second check that tells you whether your panels are already orphaned before you ever climb a ladder. Let's get one thing straight first, because there are electricians and installers in the comments, and I want them nodding, not typing. A panel goes worthless 3 ways. The company behind the warranty dies. The panel cannot be matched, repaired, or expanded, or it's defective or uncertified and cannot pass inspection. And then there's a 4th thing that hit every single panel in the country this year. The math changed. Here's that math, with real numbers. The 30% federal solar tax credit, the one homeowners leaned on for years, expired on December 31st, 2025. Gone. No slow phase out, no grace period. And in California, the new net metering rules, what the industry calls net billing, cut the credit you earn for sending power back to the grid by about 75%, from roughly 30 cents a kilowatt hour down to about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Same panels on your roof, worth far less on paper than they were 2 years ago. One more accuracy note, then we count down. A so-called solar generator is a battery with an inverter, not a generator. And a microinverter is not a panel. Today we're talking modules, the actual panels, and I will keep them straight. Let's start with the ones that were arguably worthless the day they were bought. Number 12. Uncertified gray market and Amazon panels. These are the bargain modules you find online for half the going rate, no real brand, a spec sheet that reads too good to be true. Here's why they're worthless for a real home. Without a proper safety listing, the UL 61730 listing, or the matching international standard, a panel will not pass inspection, will not get permission to operate from your utility, and will not be covered by your homeowner's insurance. You cannot legally connect it to your grid. The good news is, you can check in 2 minutes. Every real panel certification number is searchable in the UL product database and the California Energy Commission's equipment list. Punch in the model. If the number doesn't match the exact panel, it's fake and an inspector will red tag it on the spot. A panel you can't permit is a paperweight on your roof. Number 11. The no-name flexible panels. And these ones can actually start a fire. You've seen them, the thin bendable panels marketed for van roofs and sheds. On a camper, fine. As a real home array, worthless and risky. They delaminate, meaning the layers peel apart in as little as 2 or 3 years, and they've got a fire history. Renogy's 100-watt bendable panels were recalled by the Consumer Product Safety Commission back in 2016 for a fire hazard. A panel that quits in 3 years and can cook your roof in the meantime has no business on a house. Number 10. The old 60-cell panels, the 250 to 300 watt modules from a decade ago. Now these aren't junk, they make power. The problem shows up the day one dies. The model is long discontinued, so you can't match it. And here's the thing the salesman never mentions. Solar panels in a series string have to be electrically matched, voltage and current within a tight window. REC's own engineering guidance says stay within about 5% on those numbers, or the whole string drops down to the level of your weakest panel. Today's panels are 400 to 460 watts. You physically cannot find a 60-cell 300-watt match anymore. So one dead panel can force you to rewire the whole string or bolt a separate optimizer onto every module, and that cost eats any savings you had. And it's not just the panels aging out. The electronics behind them are dying too. Enphase's early microinverters, the M-Series, the M190, the M215, the M250 are all end of life. When one quits, you're hunting for a discontinued part, and if you're on a SolarEdge system, every panel leans on a single brand's optimizer, and SolarEdge itself has been shaky, running multiple rounds of layoffs in 2024 and posting heavy losses. Single-source parts that are going out of production make a system hard to repair and harder to grow. Number 9. Polycrystalline panels, the blue ones. The whole market moved on. New panels are monocrystalline, the sleek black ones, using newer cell tech called TOPCon and heterojunction. Polycrystalline tops out around 15 to 20% efficiency, takes up more roof for the same power, and is hard to match if you want to expand later. It's not dangerous, it's just a dead end you can't build on. Hold that thought about matching and expanding, because the brands I actually trust in 2026 all share one boring trait, and I'll show you what it is near the end. Number 8. Suniva panels. Here's where worthless gets personal. Suniva was the made in Georgia brand with the proud 25-year warranty. Then it filed for bankruptcy back in April of 2017. And installers started documenting solder bond failures, the internal connections breaking down with panels dropping to 1/3 or 2/3 of their rated output inside about 18 months. One installer reported 10 failures out of 30 modules, and when owners called the warranty line, nobody answered because there was no longer anybody there to answer. A 25-year warranty from a company that lasted 8 is a piece of paper. Number 7. SunPower branded panels, the ones made by Maxeon. This is the big one, and it's the brand everybody was told to buy. So listen closely. SunPower was the premium pick, the gold standard, the panels with the longest warranties in the business. SunPower Corporation went bankrupt in 2024, and the company that bought the brand did not take responsibility for any system installed before the end of September that year, so those homeowners are orphaned. But here's the gut punch. The panels themselves were made by a company called Maxeon, spun off from SunPower, and Maxeon was the one actually standing behind the panel warranties. Maxeon is now in court-supervised restructuring in Singapore. Its stock was suspended from the Nasdaq Stock Exchange on May 1st of 2026, and in its own filings with regulators it says there is, and I'm quoting the legal language here, substantial doubt about its ability to continue as a going concern. That's the company holding your 25-year promise telling the government it may not survive the year. And if you own these panels, hear me, you did not make a bad call. You bought some of the best glass ever put on an American roof. The company holding the warranty is the one that broke, not you. One honest note, because accuracy is the whole job here. There is still a company selling panels under the SunPower name today. That is a different, rebranded outfit, formerly called Complete Solaria. It is not the bankrupt SunPower Corporation. I'm telling you that so nobody watching gets misled by a familiar logo. If the most famous warranty in solar can evaporate like that, the real question becomes what you check before you ever sign. That's coming, I promise. If this is saving you from a 5-figure mistake, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I break down backup power and home energy every week, the honest version, no affiliate hype. Now, the brand's still falling. Number 6. Meyer Burger panels. Meyer Burger was the premium Swiss-German maker, high-end heterojunction modules, the kind installers bragged about. It closed its factory in Goodyear, Arizona in May of 2025, filed for bankruptcy in the US that June with liabilities running between $500 million and $1 billion, and its assets got sold off for around $29 million. So if you've got Meyer Burger panels on your roof, you've got premium glass with essentially no manufacturer left to call. Great hardware. Dead support. Number 5. Panasonic Evervolt and AllGuard panels. Panasonic is a $60 billion company, and they walked away from solar in April of 2025. Now, to their credit, they say they'll honor the existing 25-year warranties. But here's the catch, they don't make panels anymore, so if one fails and needs replacing, you're getting some other company's substitute, not a matching Panasonic. Their share of the US home market fell from about 35% in 2020 to roughly 6% by 2024. And one more thing the experts will appreciate, Panasonic actually stopped making its own cells back in 2021. The later Evervolt panels were built for them by REC, so the warranty's only as solid as a company that already left the building. Number 4. The polyamide backsheet panels, roughly 2010 through 2014. And these are failing on roofs right now. This is the quiet epidemic almost nobody talks about. The backsheet is the protective layer on the underside of every panel. A certain type, a polyamide blend the industry nicknamed AAA, turned out to be defective. Peer-reviewed field data found a failure rate above 90% within 7 years, with cracking starting in as little as 4 years. One honest caveat, the chemical company DuPont estimated more than 12 gigawatts of these panels failed in the field, but DuPont also sells the competing backsheet, so I'll call that an estimate from an interested party, not a clean count. Either way, if your panels are from that era and the underside looks chalky or cracked, that's not aging gracefully, that's the defect. Number 3. The PVDF backsheet panels. Same family of problem, different chemistry. DuPont's field studies tracked outer layer cracking on PVDF backsheets jumping nearly fourfold, from about 5% to 23% between year 4 and year 9 after install, and they saw it on 4 different continents. Here's why a cracked backsheet matters and isn't just cosmetic. Once that layer cracks, moisture gets inside the panel. Moisture inside a live electrical panel means shorts, electrical arcing, and in some documented cases, fire. A panel that's letting water into its wiring isn't worth keeping on a house. Number 2. The recalled fire hazard panels. Bosch and Schouten Multisol. I saved the genuinely dangerous ones for near the end because this is where worthless crosses into a safety call. Bosch sold a crystalline solar module, the CSI M60, that was officially recalled by the Consumer Product Safety Commission in April of 2017. About 28,000 units, fire hazard remedy was full replacement. Then there's Schouten Multisol, spelled SCHEUTEN, panels with a faulty junction box that the Dutch safety regulator tied to 15 separate fires across Europe. As many as 650,000 of those modules were distributed, though I'll be straight, that's the number shipped, not the number confirmed defective. Now this is a safety beat, so I'm going to handle it the right way. If you suspect your panels are on a recall list, this isn't a wait and watch. Look up your exact model on the Consumer Product Safety Commission recall site and the manufacturer's own recall notices, and if it's listed, you call a licensed solar installer to get them inspected and removed. You do not get up on that roof and start unbolting live electrical equipment yourself. Anything hardwired into your home runs through a professional, and you follow your local code. This isn't me scaring you, it's me keeping your house from being the one on the evening news. Number 1. And this one's a twist because the panels aren't even the problem, it's the value that got stranded. With the 30% federal credit gone after 2025 and net metering gutted in California and being cut in other states, a brand new array with perfectly good panels now earns far less than the identical system your neighbor put up in 2022. Their old net metering deal is locked in, grandfathered for 20 years from the day their system switched on, and that grandfathering is now worth real money. Meanwhile, a fresh solar-only install in a net billing state can take 9 to 15 years to pay for itself, where it used to be 5 or 6. So here's the honest pivot, and it's the one line I'll allow myself. The panels aren't junk. The economics got stranded. And that is exactly why what you buy now and how you pair it matters more than it ever did. Which brings me to the part you stuck around for. Here's the verdict: nobody selling you anything wants to give. You are not priced out of good solar, you just can't buy it blind anymore. So here is what I'd actually put on my own roof in 2026, and the one check that protects your money no matter what. For panels, I want a financially stable company that'll still be answering the phone in 20 years. Qcells, spelled Qcells, made right here in Dalton, Georgia, with a strong parent company behind it and easy service. REC's Alpha line, which has the best durability numbers I've seen, degrading at just 0.25% a year, meaning it's still making about 92% of its original power at year 25, and REC even offers a labor warranty most brands won't touch. Silfab, spelled Silfab, made in Washington State with solid North American support, and in the bankable value tier, Canadian Solar and Mission Solar, the latter built in San Antonio, Texas. But the brand is only half of it. Here's the 30-second check I promised. Before you sign anything, look up the manufacturer's financial health and ask the installer one question: is this warranty backed by third-party insurance? There are programs like Solar Insure's 30-year plan that cover the labor and stand behind the system even if the manufacturer goes under. If the answer is no and the company's only backstop is a firm in bankruptcy or court-supervised restructuring, you walk away. That single question would have saved every orphaned SunPower owner watching this. And the numbers, so you know what fair looks like. The national median right now is about $2.58 a watt installed. That puts an 8-kilowatt system around $20,000 and a 12-kilowatt system around $30,000. Remember, the panels themselves are only 12 to 20% of that. Labor and the soft costs are the rest, which is exactly why replacing one orphaned panel out of warranty runs you somewhere between $650 and $1,200, mostly labor. The cheap panel was never the expensive part, and if you already own orphaned panels, don't panic and don't rip them off the roof. Find out who actually made your cells and your inverters. Check your install contract or your permit. Companies like Enphase, REC, and Qcells will honor their own product warranties regardless of who installed the system or whether that installer is still in business. Reconnect your monitoring, keep every document, and look into a third-party service plan. Worthless is not the same as worth nothing. Know exactly where you stand. So here's where we land. The glass on your roof is almost never the real problem. The company behind it, the certification under it, and the math around it, those are what make a panel worthless. Buy the boring, stable brand. Verify the safety listing with your own eyes in the UL database, and use a licensed installer for anything on the roof or in your electrical panel, following your local code. Next week I'm running the honest numbers on home batteries, whether one's actually worth it in 2026 or whether you're lighting money on fire. Subscribe so the next 5-figure quote doesn't catch you off guard. I'll see you then.